Recently, in either some of the Discord servers I've been in or in-game and chat, I've seen a lot of people who are new to the game and don't know what they're doing. Either that or they're actively looking for someone to help them with the game. And you know, I feel pretty bad. Ark's a pretty brutal game, so this video is here to help guide those people. It's not exactly an accomplishment, but I've been playing Ark for nearly half of my life, so I'd say I'm pretty qualified to give some tips. I'll leave a list of timestamps here, just in case there's a certain aspect of the game you need help with. And my first tip for Ark is, do not play Ark. In my opinion, Ark is in the worst state it has ever been since release. And there is a multitude of reasons for that, being the pay to win, the hackers, the fact that you need a NASA supercomputer to run it, and just as a cherry on top, you know, most of the community is just full of freaks. But if you insist on playing Ark despite that, then the first thing you want to look at is your settings. The first thing you want to do is go into camera in your settings. My camera FOV is 100, but to be honest, you can do whatever you want. But turn camera shake scale to 0 and turn camera view bob off. All this does is make it so the camera doesn't shake when, for instance, when a dino is stomping around like a Bronto or something. The camera isn't going to shake, which, I mean, it's just annoying. Camera view bob, when you're using a tool or when you're running, your camera will bob. That can be distracting, so turn that off. Everything in video and graphics is pretty much personal preference, but it really depends what PC you have. For example, if you have a 4060 like I do, as the GPU, you would have lower stuff, but if you've got a stronger GPU, you can turn stuff up. As for doing upscaling, I recommend doing DLSS quality. If you've got a really bad PC, then you might have to go performance or ultra performance or balanced even. But I was using these for higher FPS and it really makes your game look bad, so if you can, use quality. If your GPU is weaker than an RTX 4060, I would probably try do balanced. But if you've got a 4060 or anything higher than that, do DLSS quality in my opinion, because anything below quality looks like absolute dog water. Everything in the graphics setting on the left side is personal preference along with your strength of your PC. But on the right, if you're playing PvP, turn off motion blur, turn off light bloom, turn off light shafts. The light bloom and light shafts can blind you and motion blur just makes it harder to see things, so these are no-brainers. Another thing I would definitely recommend if you're on PC is that if you have a mouse with mouse buttons, you can turn your slot items 9 and 10 into your mouse buttons. For example, I have a mouse with 2 mouse buttons, so I'm using these 2 mouse buttons for my 9 and 10 slots. This just means you can have 2 slots for quick access in your hotbar, and you don't have to reach over your keyboard to the other side to access these, which is just very convenient. Other than that, everything here is basically personal preference. Another thing is that I personally would recommend to turn your music volume down to 0 so you can actually focus on, you know, the actual things going on. But I don't know, maybe you like the music. Another absolute necessity for gaining FPS in Ark is to use console commands. You can basically use console commands to basically remove a few of the visual aspects in the map. For example, you can remove the fog, the shadows, the clouds, some of the foliage. A lot of it can be done just through commands. It's a lot better than adjusting the graphics and the settings in my opinion. If you're on console, you can access the console command by going to settings, advanced, and console access. You can also do this on PC. You can access the console on PC just by pressing a button, which you can access in the settings. And when you're on console, once you activate that setting, the console command button will be here where you can put in your commands. Now, as you can see on the right, I'm averaging around 20 FPS, and this is without any commands. Now, if I input the commands in the console, I easily go up to 40. And what I'm using right now is a pretty weak set of commands. And you can see after that, I'm getting around 40. Usually it'd be a bit higher, but since I'm recording and I've got some other stuff opened up, I'm getting a bit less. But generally, you'll definitely at least see double the FPS, at the very least. And I'll leave these commands in the description. And the next important thing is what server you choose. Now, if we're talking official servers, I'm gonna show you what to avoid. Servers like this. Servers like this, like the 1x servers, which basically means just servers like this. Basically everything that isn't Small Tribes, Ark, Pocket Conquest are 1x servers, which means it's going to take forever to get anything. There's no limit on tribe size in these servers, so there's going to be massive mega tribes, which just sucks. I really would not recommend playing on these servers. PvP and PvE, because PvE just gets spammed up everywhere, and PvP, you're just going to get your teeth beaten in. Same with small tribes. Like on ASC, I used to play small tribes a lot. 6-man tribes, but people make alliances anyway, even though you're not supposed to. Server's been up for, I don't even know how long, years. So people have the most busted stuff ever, and the strongest and highest level dinos possible. If you are an experienced player, it's possible to survive on these servers by raiding people, or fighting hidden loot stashes that have this crazy loot that you can then use to fight the bigger tribes. but like generally for a new player, you just don't want to play in small traps. And now I'm going to show you servers that I would recommend to you, which is firstly the Apocalypse cluster. As you see here, there's quite a few servers. This server wipes monthly, which means your character will get destroyed or your loot will get destroyed, but that happens for everyone. So everyone starts on a fresh new server, which makes it very balanced, very good. The rates are slightly higher. I believe it's 3x or 5x. I think it's 5x on like certain seasons like Christmas and stuff. I'm not sure on that. I get it mixed up with Conquest. Now regarding the map you should play on in a PvP server, there's a big difference between story arcs and fantasy arcs. That difference being is that story arcs have explorer notes, which can give you tons of XP, and fantasy arcs don't have explorer notes, but they have higher level dinos. Personally, I would recommend the island. It's the first map to ever be made, it's the best map to ever be made. And if you search up XP note run on just YouTube, you can find a note run where you can reach like level 70, even on 1x servers. Which you should definitely do, it's one of the most important things to learn for a PvP player. And map knowledge is a big thing, so before you get into these maps on PvP, hop into single player, go into God mode, fly around the map, look at the landscape, look at the dino spawns in certain areas. But if you do have the time, start a single player world, learn the map in single player, finish the game in single player, defeat the boss. But in any case, I recommend just playing the island. Your character build actually really isn't that important. A good tip I would give you, however, is to put 2 points into fortitude. What this basically does is it helps you not get knocked unconscious by certain creatures in one hit. So if you get hit by surprise and you can run away, you won't get knocked out. I guess I should also explain what each of these does since this is a beginner guide. Fortitude can help you resist torpidity. As soon as it hits a certain point, you'll be knocked unconscious, the torpidity bar. This will help it stop it from going higher. It's not a very big help, like it really won't help you a lot unless you get to very high numbers, but it isn't worth it. It definitely isn't worth it. It also helps you from temperature extremes, such as high heat or high cold. Increasing your crafting skill will help you craft things faster. It'll also make it so blueprints have a chance to get a higher percentage in damage or durability, although unless you have this in very high numbers, that's pretty useless. Melee damage, now we're getting somewhere good. Obviously, this will increase your physical damage with melee weapons. It'll also increase the torpor damage that melee weapons do, and it will also increase the amount of resources you get from harvesting things with melee weapons, such as trees, rocks. You'll get more stone and wood if you harvest it with a hatchet. Weight is pretty self-explanatory, it just determines how much weight you can carry. Water and food, oxygen, don't pump these. Just don't pump these, trust me. Trust me, you don't want to pump these. Stamina is actually quite useful, especially if you're running a lot. If you're running a lot, stamina is very useful because you can run for longer, and regenerating stamina is pretty quick, so you can get back to that new maximum that you've got. Although I wouldn't put this in high numbers. HP, also very self-explanatory. Now as for what to put in here, I'm just going to input my usual build. I usually go for 300 HP, I usually go for 300 weight, and then I go on to melee. This is literally my build. Although I usually don't hit level 105, this is my build. It's very high in melee, but I find that very fun, which is why I do it. There are certain builds you might want to specialize in. Either you can be a bounce build, a specialist, or you can be a freak. The bounce build, in the name, it's quite obvious. You basically just go even into HP, even into weight, and even into melee damage. As for a specialist build, you could go tons of HP. I did that in one of my recent videos. Or you could go high into weight or melee. Having high melee is very useful because you can one-tap people, you can kill dinos way quicker, you can harvest resources way quicker. Having high weight is insanely good because you can carry a way heavier kit. You can carry spare sets of armor, which is very important because having an armor set on can make you literally invulnerable to most pieces of damage until armor pieces break. And HP, also very self-explanatory. If you have lots of HP, you can literally jump off a cliff and be perfectly fine. Movement. One thing I don't see any PvP guys include is movement. I guess it's just something so basic to most players that it kind of goes over our heads. But good movement is what separates a bad player to a good player. Now what I'm going to show you is pretty simple, but if I run and then equip something, you can see I walk for a few seconds. I slow down. Oh my god, it's fucking... Now where was I? As you can see, if I run, then equip something, I walk for a few seconds. It slows me down. It's bad. And on higher ping, it's actually worse because you rubber band back when this happens on higher ping. But since I'm on a single player, obviously it doesn't happen. The way to stop this is just to run, jump as you're equipping your weapon. It's very simple, but it carries your momentum forward and it deletes a little piece of lag. It's such a simple thing. I just wanted to show you guys this. Especially if you're running from someone or something and you need to play a balls or something quick, you can jump, carry momentum forward, and then do what you need to do. Just make sure you're not jumping around like a bunny rabbit, alright? Because especially in a PvP situation, if I see someone jump, I know where they're going to go. And I can wind up a ball to shoot where they're going to be. For example, if I jump over here, my landing place is obviously going to be right here. If I was here, so I gotta jump from here to there, I knew they'd be over there. Okay, it's pretty simple, and it's won me a lot of bowler fights. Constantly use K mode and third person to scout your surroundings. You can just do a quick turn if you want. Yeah, don't even have to go into K mode. Just jump and then turn around a little bit. Especially just when you're in PvP scenarios. When someone's behind you, quickly do a little jump back and see if they're there. Or you can use K mode to see if they're behind you. Another thing is when you're out of stamina, you can go prone, which will help you get your stamina back quicker. That's something pretty simple, but I just want to include that because I feel like maybe a few new players would not understand that concept. The next thing you want to worry about is your weapons and tools, basically what you're going to use for fighting creatures, fighting players, stuff like that. And I'm going to give you a basic rundown. I was talking about the bowler before, but basically you can throw this at a player or small creatures in order to restrain them for around 30 seconds. You know if they're restrainable by the fact if you hover over a creature, it'll either be red or green. See if it's green here, that means I can bowl this creature. It will do no damage upon impact, but it will restrain them, which can leave them open for other attacks. Once you get metal tools, you'll have two main melee weapons, which is the pike and the sword. The pike has higher range, but less damage, and the sword has lower range, but more damage. Obviously that's not a fair comparison, you need to hit the head. As you can see here, 109 to it's around double. The sword is around double, a little bit less. The sword also has a higher attack speed, but it's also way more expensive. Whips are also pretty useful. You need silk to craft it, which you only get from other maps. But it can be used to harvest rocks from the ground or pick up stuff from the ground. It can also pick up items that players have dropped. Also doing it again, alright. Basically, if someone drops something, it'll turn into this bag and you can whip this up. It can be used to dismount players. If you whip a creature that is mounted by a player, it can dismount them. It can also be used to whip things out of players' hands. For instance, if I was over here holding a sword and I came over with a whip and whipped it out of their hands, I could then pick it up. Obviously there's stuff like the bows and guns, but I feel like they're pretty self-explanatory. When you're just starting out, there are two main weapons for PvP that you'll be using, which is the club and the torch. The torch can set things on fire. Obviously it will not work when you're in the water or when it's raining. And the other tool you'll be using as a beginner player is the club. This does basically zero damage. It does a very little amount of damage, as you can see here. Barely any damage, but it knocks things out insanely quickly. So I've got 400 melee, this is level 10 turtle. It's going to go to sleep pretty quickly. As you can see, even with low melee, you can easily knock a player out. That's what makes it so good. Other than that, there's other stuff you should have in your kit, including parachutes, shields, spare armor sets. But generally, if you have a few bowlers, a club, you always have a winning chance. When it comes to tames, there are a lot in this game obviously, and you should take the time to figure out which one suits you the best. But I'm going to give you 3 picks that I would personally recommend for early game on the island. Firstly, we've got the frog here. Pretty self-explanatory, they spawn in swamps. To tame them, you simply bowl them, knock them out, and then feed them meat. They have insane mobility, they can swim very well. I've made an entire video where I was playing with a frog early game and I had so much fun with it. They're easy to tame, they're fun, it's simple. Now next, probably the most used early game tame for getting around, the PT. Not only does this thing have insane mobility, they're everywhere across all maps, easy to tame. Also, they've got ability to pick stuff. Most notably, you can pick players up. And I mean, it's a pretty simple concept. If you pick up a player, you can go high, drop them, they die 4 damage, which makes them very useful for PvP. Also, they have the C-spin ability, which lets you do a little barrel roll. It hits players, it hits hard, it's very good. The next one is probably the one that you'd probably get the earliest, which is the Iguanodon. This thing is very good because you can find them literally across all the beaches on the map, and they have 2 stances, the 4-legged stance and the 2-legged stance. In the 4-legged stance, when you run, you have infinite stamina. However, you can't attack in this stance. And the 2-legged stance is you start losing stamina when you run, but in this stance you can also jump and you can also hit. However, the best thing about the Iguanodon is that you can shoot off of it. You can throw balls off of it. You can melee off of it. You can literally farm trees while you're riding it. Of course, you can also do this with the frog, but the frog in my opinion is a little bit harder to tame, especially since it's in the swamp. where it's very hard to get to for at least beginner players. It's very dangerous in the swamp, so getting to a frog might be difficult. For early game PvP, these are absolutely the 3 picks I would use. Obviously, since they can be bowled, that also means enemy players can bowl them, which is obviously a concern. Because once you get bowled, you'll be dismantled off your tame. So it's pretty dangerous. High risk, high reward. When it comes to building your base, a very important thing is to remember who you are. You are not a big tribe on the server. I mean, maybe you are, but if you're looking at a beginner guide, I'm just going to assume that you're not. Which means you don't want people to find your base, because you really don't have any means of protecting it against a fucking Desmodus rocket launcher or something like that. So, the logical thing to do is just to build a hidden base. A place like this, I have deemed relatively suitable for a hidden base. I'm not sure if building a hidden base at a spot that's been shown in a video is a good idea, but generally when you're building a hidden base, you want to find places that are not traveled by as much and are very sheltered by like trees and stuff. This little spot around here is pretty good. Like, the only reason people go here is to go to Heavenville Island, that's on the beach. Another good spot is around the redwoods. Over around here is very low traffic, so it's pretty good. Just don't build too close to Red Ob. And if you really want to, you can build in the snow. There are some decent spots. There are some little nooks and crannies, but obviously you live in a hellhole. Alternatively, you could live on a raft. There are quite a lot of things you need to know when you're building a raft base. It can be pretty good, but be careful because there are a lot of people who go scouting specifically for raft bases. It's pretty bad. I've seen people get rocketed. But yeah, basically, do not build on the beach, do not build on Herbivore Island, do not build on Kano Island. Trust me, it's not a good idea. I am not going to deter you away from the swamp. It is an amazing place to build a base. The PvE around there sucks, but it's low traffic usually. It's actually a very good place to build a base if you know what you're doing. And if you just want to build on the beach to have fun player interactions, like, honestly, that's fine with me. I do that sometimes. At least hide all your good loot in a hidden base. But anyway, I'm going to show you a simple design I would use for a solo. A simple 2x1 base. So, how you build it is just two foundations, walls all around. And you want to use a double door. The reason why you use a double door instead of a secret door like this, first of all, the double door has more HP. That doesn't matter too much, it's still the exact same amount of C4 to destroy it. The main reason is now you can fit your tames into your base. With the secret door, you can't fit in a PT or a frog. With a double door, you can. So when you log off, slide your PT or your frog into your base. What I do a lot as a solo is just build a 1x1, put a tame in there, put a bed in there. Like, I really hidden a 1x1 in like a random corner, just shoving a tame in there. Especially if it's a high level PT, I want to keep that. I don't want that to die overnight. It's a pain in the ass to get on the island, and they are very useful tames. Anyway, on with the base. What I would do is put some ceilings up. There are a few ways to do this. You can do one smithy, forge, and you can put your bed just in the doorway. Pestles are very good for storage because they have 24 slots, and they're so small. For instance, the smithy has 75 slots, and the third of that, definitely not. In terms of size, the smithy has a worse storage ratio. Another way is you could have two smithies, get them like this. Put your forge in the corner, and you have your bed like this, which is a pretty good design in my opinion. And then you can just have some pestles in the corner like this. You only really need one forge as a solo because you can just shove metal in there and go AFK for a bit, and all your metal will be smelted. You don't need multiple forges to smelt like very fast. If you end up making a fabricator, you can chuck it on top of the base. Although a better alternative is to find a rated base with a fabricator and use that, in my opinion. Or make a separate base where you can put a fabricator. It is possible to fit a fabricator along with smithies in this base, but it's really tedious. I might show that in a video one day. It uses you have to use quarter walls and quarter ceilings to do it. It's quite a pain in the ass. Anyway, this is for a solo. If you're playing with more people, which I highly recommend, definitely don't play solo when you're starting out. It is hard, bro. It's fun once you learn how to play the game. Or at least for me, it's pretty fun when you learn how to play the game and start learning how to kill people. And playing in a bigger tribe like 3 to 4 players, just do a 2x2. A 2x2 can still be pretty hidden. And with a 2x2, you probably should have a fabricator in your base if you're running with quite a few more people. And this would literally be fine. It's a little bit, so you can definitely make it better than this. Another tip that I would absolutely give to starting out players is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have multiple bases. Have a 2x1 over here. Have a 2x1 over here, over here, over here. Everywhere, bro. Keep bases everywhere. Split your loot between your bases. Also, just having tons of beds around to create a kind of network of places you can respawn. It's just so useful. It's convenient. Just do it. It's pretty easy to do, and it pays dividends, trust me. In the end, you will learn most of your skills on the field. So go out there and just try to have fun. Obviously, it's a video game. The purpose is to have fun. So if you're not having fun, I mean, there's no really point in playing, is there? And this is my final warning. Please do not play Ark. They recently added another pay-to-win DLC, and I mean, it's probably the worst one yet. I mean, the other ones were kind of bad, but Pyromain, it's pretty bad, but you can bowler it. Lost Colony, I mean, there are a few bad things, but some of it was actually kind of cool. Like the skill tree is actually like not miserable in my opinion. Obviously, I would have preferred not to have it, but it definitely, compared to what's going on now, it's just they added some like How to Train Your Dragon stuff. Like, I don't know, bro. It's so bad. I hate it. I despise it. And I'm thinking like the PvP Ark community is probably given up at this point. I mean, I really don't want to give up because it's my favorite game ever. I can't not love Ark. It's literally been a big part of my life. But anyway, stay positive, have an above average day, spread some positivity in Ark. Or, you know, real life, it's probably better, honestly. I hope my guide assisted you in some way. Like and subscribe, that'll really make my day, and have a good day yourself. Bye there.